We shall be this way. Perfect. I think I'm gonna pitch you over here. Just got a couple of things to finish. We'll be right with you. Let's have a little studio evening tour. And come and put the lights off. This corner's fun though, hey? Yeah. Okay. Those lights off. Light off. It's probably my favourite one. Doesn't translate particularly well in video. Alright. Great time to have an itchy eye. Great time. Okay, let's pop you off. And finish doing a tidy up. That's another thing I need to do. Add you to there. Alright. I just wanted to have a little conversation about roller skate plates. However, essential to have a cup of tea when we are chatting skate plates. Whoa. Also, to make sure you are sitting securely on your chair before tipping around. Okay. Let's fasten the laces. Maybe I'm going to put my skates on in a bit, but we shall see. All right, for your perusal, I'm going to need to prop this up. And it shall be this. Oh, there's the sunlight plate. We may have that out yet. This here box. I don't know if I'd actually been organised and done this differently. Anyway, so you can see behind me some different roller skates, and one question that I'm being asked quite a lot at the moment is I don't understand anything about plates. When you hear the word plate, you think dinner plate, something that I'm going to eat from, and actually it is not in the context of roller skates. So this rookie rosa is something that you might get started with, and the plate is this part underneath the boot. It's also, sometimes I've heard people refer to it as the chassis of the boot. It's the part that holds the axles on, which is something the wheels are connected to and rotate around. So the plate sits under the boot. A roller skate is made up of different parts. The complete skate is the boot, the plate, the wheels and bearings, possibly a toe stop, laces, something to fasten it all together. And these can come in many, many different forms, as you can see some examples behind me. But let's look at the plate position. So I think I'm going to need to put the other light on because otherwise you can't see on this one. Ooh. Oh, and now it's daylight again. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. This Rookie Rosa is very much made for people at the very early part of their roller skate journey. And if you look at where the wheels are positioned, this plate is fitted from one end of the boot to pretty much the other end of the boot. So it's what I would consider as a standard mount, but it goes with the wheels right underneath the heel, and actually these ones stick out very slightly beyond the heel, okay, and that is for stability. And the front wheels are very slightly, just use this thing, the fan, forward of the ball of the foot. So this is absolutely built, it's got like a longer wheelbase, it's built for stability, it's built for somebody who has probably not got a lot of experience of roller skating, and they would find something with a shorter wheelbase more tippy. Okay, so lots and lots of people start with a roller skate like this one, and then they discover they enjoy it, they shuffle around, they do all of the things, and skill wise they outgrow this type of skate. So then you come to look at the separate parts like this, and you think, great, I would love to have a custom build, I would love to have a boot, but now what? There is just too much choice. I don't know what goes on here. I don't know how to choose, because this boot costs like 5 times as much almost as this complete skate on its own. The quality and the craftsmanship means that they're basically incomparable, but people will still compare on price, even though everything else is totally different. So if this one is completely different and we have options about how we mount the plate, I don't know what that means. They're like, I don't know what that means. Doesn't matter that I've written blog posts about it before. It's quite a hard thing to choose, right? So the choices are, you can continue to have your longer wheelbase and feel quite stable, or you can opt for a shorter wheelbase, which if you're doing something like dance and that's something you enjoy, it's something you might prefer, because it means that you can turn more quickly, turn more sharply, but you do sacrifice some of this stability. So you gain agility, you sacrifice stability. So that could be a challenge, right? It will be a challenge. And at the beginning, you have to give yourself some grace that it's going to be a tricky learning curve, but also that you're going to be fine. So I have my skates, essentially these are my skates. I know, this is my personal preference, I choose a plate that is one size shorter than the standard plate that I would choose for that boot. For example, this is a Moxie Jack boot. I love this boot, right? It is my absolute go-to boot, the Moxie Jack 1 boot. And usually on this boot, so this is a boot size 8, you would choose a powered iron plate that is also an 8. However, mine might be a 6. Maybe it's a 7. It's definitely shorter. Yeah, it's a 6. Maybe mine's 2 sizes shorter for this one. You can probably see that there is room at the heel. So I've brought the heel wheels further underneath the heel, and I've moved the ball of the toe. So the toe wheels are now slightly further back than with the Rookie. The Rookie was here, more that the wheels were under the crease of the toe rather than the ball of the foot. So where I'm like lining it up from this axle nut because it's from the front truck. You want this truck really to be under the ball of the foot. So once I learned how to control this mount position, this plate position, because when there is nothing already on the base of the boot, you can choose to put this anywhere. And that's a really like odd thing, you know, how do you decide where to put the plate? Where is that? Here it is. Here's the sunlight plate. So how do you decide where it's going to be placed? Okay, well, toe stop at the front. Actually, the middle of the plate does not line up with the stitching on the boot. So you should not see a plate that is, the toe stop is directly in line with the stitching. It should be slightly offset to the outside, only ever so slightly. And I think this plate is too long for this boot. Yeah, just about. We might squeeze it on. This is someone who'd want a standard mount. It's just that the sunlight plate is wide, but this is like heel to heel. The reason it goes there is because the plate is lined up to the center of the person's foot, not the center of the boot. The way the boot is constructed versus how the center of your foot is. If you place your foot on the floor and look at the center of it, it's somewhere between your second and your third toe usually, but that doesn't necessarily line up with the center of the boot. So the plate actually lines up with your foot, not the boot. Otherwise, you're always going to be slightly askew. We've got loads and loads of tools that we've collected over the years, including centering tools so that we get the position of the plate correct, and then a ton of other tools just that ease the process of skate building and make it as efficient as possible and make it as neat as possible, because we want to make sure that our skates are built together for longevity, which is why I do my own, because I want to test the work that I'm doing and the work of the members of my team. So let's have a look at these ones. So they're the same. Like, I know where I like the position of the plate to be, so I make sure that the heel is slightly tucked underneath the heel and that the ball of the foot is more directly under the ball. With this boot, which was a 336, and it's one that I like, I think this is the newest one out of these boots. Maybe it's not, but I think it is. With this boot, again, the heel is under the heel, it brings it under there. This plate is a little bit shorter, but the toe, the axle of the toe, is definitely a smidge further back than previous mounts. So this is the Danza plate, the oil slick shiny one, and I was testing this because it became quite popular and I wanted to know that this plate was going to last, and it's not just a pretty plate, but actually it's really functional as well. It comes from Barcelona, where there is a big scene for artistic roller skating, and it is intended for artistic free dancing, which I don't particularly do. However, it's really pretty and it's shiny, and that's not a reason to buy stuff. But this is the skill plate, which is slightly different to the Danza plate. The Danza plate has the same oil slick finish, but it's a little bit lighter because it's got holes in it in a different way. So this has got 3 holes in the middle to keep it as light as possible while still being a really strong construction designed for the skater to land bigger jumps and bigger loopy jumps, which again, I do not do. The Danza plate has got slots on the bottom. So it's got 2 slots here and 2 holes rather than 3. But that's the main difference, and it's just for weight. What we're talking about here is the mounting position. Once you've got your front truck, your front axle under the ball of your foot, you'll find that instead of having to roll forward and up onto the toe, like you're kind of hooking yourself back, or conversely on the heel, you're sort of you're rolling back to go under. It's kind of how it feels to me. You'll find that you just lift your heel and you're already in the right place, or you just lift your toe and you're already in the right place. I really don't enjoy heel blocking at all. I find it really, really difficult. Heel blocking being when you're on both heels, not a fan. However, I think that's because I didn't have the experience of doing it on skates that I felt comfortable with. I only had a standard mount, so it was not a comfortable or particularly enjoyable experience. It just freaked me out. I found the action of locking your knees out straight was just a bit strange and not very enjoyable, so I didn't do it very much. And yeah, I still have some hang-ups about it, but it's definitely much easier on a plate where the plate is shorter and it's mounted in a position that's more beneficial for the type of skating that I'm doing. If I only did outdoors and loads of distance, then maybe I'd want something that feels different, but I'm a bit of a generalist skater. I enjoy dance, but I also like doing a lot of other things. I like a little bit of swooping about at the skate park, only a little bit. I don't like dropping in particularly, just a little bit. I also really enjoy going down hills really quickly, and I definitely enjoy skating around town. So outside is just really enjoyable, but yeah, I like doing a little bit of everything. So once I adjusted to this plate position, I was okay understanding how my weight needed to be, and actually could just keep rolling. Okay, I think while we're here, let's talk about Kingpin angles, because that's another question. Right. Okay, so all of these plates, let's line these up so that we've got a great view. All of these plates have got a slightly different angle for the trucks. Okay, I actually don't know the rookie one. I assume it's going to be 10 degree, but this plate actually not fully articulated properly. What I mean by that is this plate it's fairly plasticky, so it's light, but it's not really designed to do much beyond get you started. And that's because at the bottom here, there's a cup that's molded into the plate for this cushion, this red thing, this cushion to sit in. The truck, which is plastic, not metal, then holds the top cushion in as well. And then we've got a cap and we've got a Kingpin nut. So this lower plate is holding this cushion. And that means when the truck moves, which it won't do very much, it can't. It's being really held in place with this bottom cushion, like molding, okay? This plate, this is the Pilot Falcon that I painted green, and it's not a great job, but it does have a properly built plate. This plate is now at least 5 years old. It might be older. I can't actually remember. I just got bored with the colour and wanted to paint it, and it was quite enjoyable. But you can see here, this has got a, what is this called? It's a reactor type Kingpin. It's called something different though, but I can't remember what right now. Anyway, it has got a separate cushion cap at the bottom. So this, when you put pressure into the edges of the wheels, into the sides of your boot, and it passes through into the wheels, this is going to squeeze all these cushions in a different way and allow you to fully turn. Whereas the Rookie, which has that cushion recessed, it's not the same. It can't have the same degree of motion in this one, sideways, this way, that you can have in a plate that has got all separate parts, because that is actually going to allow a greater range of movement and a more finely tuned movement. And it's something that you aren't going to know until you try a plate that is better quality. All of these plates are also metal, and a metal plate is usually much stronger. There are cheap metal plates that are not strong at all, but manufacturers will use them because they know people think that if you have a metal plate, it is stronger. And generally it is, but not all metal plates are the same. Some are incredibly heavy, so just be really wary of that. If you're interested, on the website, I've got a full write-up that I did in, I think, like 2021, maybe 22, where I actually weighed all the plates that would fit a standard UK size 6, including the plate, the trucks, and the cushions, so that it could be a full like-for-like comparison. And all that information is on our blog. If you can't find it, I will link it in the description below. So this particular plate, the Pilot Falcon plate, has a 16-degree kingpin angle, and that holds the trucks out very slightly more than a standard 10-degree kingpin, which keeps your weight very upright up over the plate, and it means you've got a lot of stability. A plate like this one, which is the Arius, has got a greater degree, a greater angle here. It actually holds the trucks at a 45-degree angle, doesn't have a kingpin, but the trucks are still at a 45-degree angle compared to the plate. And this one has a lot more lateral movement, the side-to-side movement, which some people can find really challenging to control. Now, to start with, you can have firmer cushions so that you feel it is more stable, and slowly make the cushion softer over time as you get used to it. But I think you need to remember that whatever plate you choose, it doesn't need to be the most expensive, but you will find that it gives you a different experience of roller skating. It doesn't necessarily make you better. In fact, if you go straight to an Arius plate from a stock boot, you might find that you can't skate just for a couple of weeks or even less time, or you don't enjoy the experience because it's so different to what you're used to. So the Pilot Falcon is a great place to start with in terms of an upgrade, because it's an affordable one, it's really light, it is 16 degrees, it gives you somewhere between stability and maneuverability, and it's a good one to think about if you're going to start this one size smaller journey. The hardest thing with the Pilot Falcon plate is choosing which size you actually need. Oh, I've got a really itchy nose. Which size do you actually need? I don't know. It depends on your boot. So you can decide if you want a standard mount. Check our website. We've got UK shoe sizes there just to help you out. Or if you want one size shorter, you can go down a shoe size and track along. The Danza plate has got a slightly higher kingpin angle than the Pilot Falcon. It's 20 degree, which is the same as other artistic manufacturers such as Rollline. The Danza plate, though, is certainly much lighter. This one, the Skill plate, is probably quite similar to something like a Variant M, which is quite a heavy plate. This is quite solid, and people pick them up and go, oh, it's really heavy. So you need to make sure you choose a light boot if you're choosing a heavy plate. Otherwise, you're just going to do a lot of weights because you've essentially got ankle weights on your feet. I actually quite like the feeling of the weight. I find it quite grounding. So it's not something, as I say, I'm not doing big jumps, so the weight is less important for me, but I quite enjoy it. And I do think that this boot and plate combination have been really great for me, although it did take me a long time to get used to, but that's because it took me a long time to break this boot in. So if you're choosing a stiff boot like a Rydell 336 or a 3200, although the 3200 has got a lot more padding inside, but let's talk about boots another time. Certainly with this plate, you will notice a difference, but it should just be an enjoyable switch. I think when you're going from for a 16-degree angle kingpin like the Pilot Falcon, or if you're splashing out a bit more and you want this Danza or skill plate, the plate is going to outlast the boot. I would expect these boots now to last me for the rest of my life. I don't believe this is going to wear out based on the amount of use that I currently give it. I think the suede ones are going to wear out much sooner. As you can see, I'm not particularly precious about my boots though. This is like quite scuffed on the toe, but I personally quite like the little toe scuff look because I feel it gives it that kind of used appeal. I just like the fact that they look a little bit used, they look a little bit loved, and yeah, that's something that I enjoy. So I'm not saying that you should have the front truck under the ball of your foot. I'm saying it's possible to put the front truck under the ball of your foot, but it's also possible to shift the plate really far forward. Something that was really popular when I was playing roller derby was something called a short forward mount, where you would still have a plate that was shorter than the standard for the boot size, but instead of it being in this rear shifted position with the heel wheels under the heel and the toe wheels under the ball, you would shift the whole thing forward, so the heel wheels would, this isn't less common on a heeled boot. So I skate on a heeled boot. But on a flatter boot, moving it forward forces the wearer to lean forward. And if they're leaning forwards for balance, they're actually likely to be sprinting forward, because in order to keep your balance when you're going forward, you're going to fall, therefore you're going to lift your foot and put it down again. And if you keep doing that, you pick up speed. So a short forward mount is designed to transfer the power that you get through the ball of your foot fully into the plate and through both of the wheels. So by having the wheels in a slightly more forward position, slightly, than this backwards position, you can change how the plate feels and the experience you get from the whole skate, and therefore how you skate in the most efficient way. So plates positioning, I would always say, is more of an art than a science. It is something that you can try yourself. It will take quite a lot of tools, and if you want to see a sped up version of some skates that I've made before, you can check that out somewhere down there in one of the playlists. I did a sped up version of a boot that I mounted before, and it's quite an enjoyable process, but it does take time to do. And if you're doing it for yourself the first time, like when I did my first boot, be prepared to get it wrong. You need to definitely screw hard, and you'd be surprised if you've not done this before how much force you need to use. So you are going to need things like a hammer, a screwdriver readily findable tools in your house. And then you're also going to need a drill. You'll need different size drill bits. You will need the mounting kits, which will usually come with the plate, a centerline tool or a measuring tape, something to mark all the holes with, and then nerves of steel, unless you choose to do this on an old boot first. It's not that tricky. It just feels worrying when you're drilling through boots, particularly maybe a Colour Lab boot, because if this one goes wrong, it's very, very difficult to replace, or you're just going to be annoyed with yourself because it'll have additional holes in it, you know. So that's my quick plate rundown and an understanding, I hope, into the different Kingpin angles and why they might be useful for different things, and also how a stock factory built boot might be very, very different and definitely non-comparable. I think that's the main thing, is that people who go, oh, this Rookie Rosa, it's, you know, currently we've got it on sale for £45. You just cannot expect the same level of craftsmanship and quality from a boot like this that is mass produced to a boot that is cut and finished by hand. You know, the suede pieces are cut by hand, like by hand on a machine, but still they are cut by hand in America. So they are made in a very, very different way. Oh, one more. I've got one more boot. This one. So this is the latest one. This is the the Avenger plate, not the Avanti. And this one again holds the trucks at a 45-degree angle. I am mildly annoyed with myself though, because I bought the plate and it is just a bit too long. It is actually the standard length for this boot. So it's perfectly fine. I'm sure someone else will really enjoy it, but I put it on and enjoyed it not that much. I'm still finding a way to try and love it, but right now I don't know that I'm feeling that way. The plate that I do enjoy it, but I feel I wish this was just ever so slightly further back and this was ever so slightly further forward, because you can see on the Weafer, this heel, if we extrapolate down, like the wheels are slightly inside. The Weafer has got a very sharp angled heel compared to the Rydell, and the whole heel is slimmer than the Rydell heel, but still the plate size for me is very slightly too long. So not quite sure what I'm going to do with this, but I'll figure something out for sure. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy this ramble at some other time. Let's do a little pause there. Perfect.